Anthony, of course, came in with a big transfer fee, as did Jadon Sancho, and boy, he certainly has not lived up to the hype since making that $100 million move from Borussia Dortmund. We've seen so little from the England international to get excited about. He wasn't included in the squad for the clash against Arsenal. Jadon Sancho then responded on social media saying, "Please don't believe everything you read. I will not allow people saying things that is completely untrue. I've conducted myself in training very well this week. I believe there are other reasons for this matter that I won't get into. I've been a scapegoat for a long time, which isn't fair. All I want to do is play football with a smile on my face and contribute to my team. I respect all decisions that are made by the coaching staff. I play with fantastic players and grateful to do so, which I know every week is a challenge. I will continue to fight for this badge no matter what." Mark, I want to kind of tread carefully slightly on this subject because we're not privy, and nor should we be privy to everything that's going on behind the scenes here. But are you surprised how public this has become?
Well, I'm surprised the way that Sancho's reacted, because I think he would have known when he was left out of the squad. Ten Hag would have told him why, and he was asked a question and he gave an answer. Now, if you go back last season, Ten Hag was very honest about Ronaldo. Twice he dropped him and called it out. He was very honest about Marcus Rashford when he dropped him at Wolves last season. He overslept and missed a meeting. So Sancho will have known that the manager will have given an honest appraisal. So for Sancho to do that within an hour of the manager saying that was just crazy. And look, there are suggestions that, and we haven't been able to stand this, so the suggestions that United have been looking to get rid of Sancho this summer, and that possible moves last week didn't come off because he wasn't prepared to move. Now, if he feels that he's being forced out of the door, then he's probably unhappy. But he says he trained well last week. But whether his training well matches the standards that Erik Ten Hag sets, that's a different matter. So I've been told today that Sancho isn't the most popular player at the club in terms of, what he does at the training ground and how, on the pitch itself. And I think, but then no player is universally popular at a football club, and no squad is full of happy players. So that isn't, again, that biggest revelation, I don't think. But I think Sancho's got a history for this in terms of at Borussia Dortmund, he was disciplined for this kind of thing. At Man City, he left because, Pep Guardiola wasn't convinced by him. And at England last season, Gareth Southgate dropped him because of a timekeeping issue. So Sancho has got a track record for, not really impressing his coaches during the week. And some players, as we know, don't train particularly well during the week. Carlos Tevez is a fantastic example of a player that was meant to train really badly, but on a Saturday he was brilliant. Now, if Sancho was brilliant on a Saturday, he might get away with it, but if he's not performing in training, then he's not performing at the weekend. He's not really giving himself an opportunity to prove to the manager that he should be playing. So it's a collection of things, but I think what Sancho did in terms of this statement is made it really difficult to find a way back, because he's basically defied his manager in public. He didn't call Ten Hag out directly by saying the manager's told lies about me, but he said, this is completely untrue and I've been made a scapegoat. Well, the only person that has prompted him to say that is Erik Ten Hag. So you'd have to make assumptions that he's having got Ten Hag there. So when a player does that in such a public way, it's really difficult for him to come back, especially when he's not playing well. He hasn't played well for 2 years. It's difficult.
Frank, it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously Jadon Sancho has the right to reply if he's called out in public by his coach. But then you question, well, what is he achieving by doing this?
Well, yeah, that's the real question, because is signing the end of maybe his time for Manchester United, because, until Ten Hag is in charge of the team. But he said, don't believe, he started his statement saying that don't believe what you read, where it's clear this is what you said, and it was coming from Ten Hag's mouth. So I don't understand that when he said that he's a scapegoat. When you've been bought like 100 million, and since that you didn't show anything, I'm sorry, you had lots of people excusing you for your performances, and now not even you're not good enough during the game on Sunday, you're not good enough at training session. So what do you expect from the people in charge? Of course they're going to kick you out because you don't even show the pleasure or the strength of showing to the coach that you deserve to be playing on Saturday. And on top of it, you go public after that when he say that you're not good enough at training session. So for me, even if I'm not in the dressing room, and I want to believe Ten Hag because that guy is really frank, that you don't do the job and you are complaining. You're wrong, 100%, you're wrong.
What do you think, Steve?
Sancho has to take responsibility and not blame everybody else. It really smells of a player who is trying to look to blame the manager, the team, whatever. And at the end of the day, he's been given opportunities on the field and he has failed miserably. He hasn't just not been that good, he's been awful. And for 100 million, he's produced that for Man United. Somebody, whether it's his dad, his agent, I don't know, has to sit him down and say, look, here's the deal. You may think you're doing enough, but you know what? The guy in charge doesn't think you are. And the only way it changes is if you do what is going to make him happy. And if you do that, then you might start to change what's going on right now, particularly off the field, but it might change on the field. If you don't do that, you're done. Because there's only one winner, and that's Ten Hag.
Mario, you made, of course, that move from Holland to England when you were very young as well. A lot of expectations around you when you moved. Obviously not quite $100 million worth. But what is that like, and how difficult is it to adapt when things aren't going your way?
Yeah, you know what the hardest part was for me was because I came out of a season where I broke my foot twice and I hadn't even kicked the ball for Chelsea at that time. So going in that situation, it was more for me to understand. Then I joined, Frank was already there, so I joined in. There were like a lot of experienced footballers in the team. And I was trying to compete with guys that at that time won the World Cup. So for me, like, wow, 21-year-old coming in. So I don't think I would talk that much. When I look at Jadon Sancho, if you also look at like what Mark said, the history of him, what is on his back, okay, that's one. But also, you remember he was in a mental situation. And I remember Ten Hag coming out and saying like, hey, I want to give him his time to recover and to get to a level that I want him to be. So when your coach backs you like that, I also think you should think about like, let me just let this one slide. Keep my mouth shut. And if I want to have a conversation, never do it with your coach in public. Do it on a one-on-one because you're never going to win. It doesn't matter. All the guys who are sitting there, you know, Stevie, Frank, you can ask, you know, Mark, you can ask us anytime we want to talk to someone and it's a coach, don't ever do it in public because you're never going to win. He's going to be the one that's going to stay on and they're going to get rid of you. And I'm not saying they're maybe going to get rid of Sancho already, but I'm just saying like they're definitely going to question him like that. And then he's not performing. And then we go back to the Dutch way. The Dutch way of training is very interesting. I sometimes have difficulties with it. When I was at Ajax, it was easy because I knew how I trained, I would play. But when I came to England, with England, it's not always like that. But then you go to the national team. I went back to Holland. It was the same thing again. If you don't train well, they won't select you. And that's clearly what Ten Hag is saying because he is like that. They train, and the way you train, you can win your spot. And if you don't train well, they won't pick you. And that's clearly what he brought out. And he said that Sancho is not performing.
Mark, do you think he'll play for Manchester United again?
I mean, it's only September, isn't it? So I think it'd be risky to write him off. But they have got a couple of opportunities to move him on this window. The Saudi Arabian window opens until Thursday, the 7th of September. The Turkish window opens until the 15th. Now, there is a bit of money in Turkey. You know, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, Besiktas could come in and offer a way out. But I'm not sure they can afford Jadon Sancho at his wages that he's at. So I think United are stuck with him. And I think he's stuck with Man United because he's clearly not got the mindset right now to challenge for his place and win it back if he's going to start having a public row with his manager. So I think he gets to January and see what happens. But then who will take him? Who will take Jadon Sancho? Massive fee. He was £73 million, massive wages, but underperforming. So back to square one with Man United, a big player that's earning massive money and not performing. They've got to try and move him on, and it's going to be difficult.
Wow.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.